Hey there, welcome to the Uplift. We've got a great show for you, a great cast of characters as well. Among them, these, a single dad and a firefighter who also moonlights as an elf. What's behind the story of this character? We'll get into it. Also, kids who got together to make playtime more inclusive for everyone. Plus, an artist whose work may look familiar gets some long overdue recognition. And a man who experienced tragedy but did not let it stop him from completing one of the most iconic races in the world. All of that, plus our heartwarming videos, the ones you just need to see. You know what you're watching. It's The Uplift. Hey there, I'm Tony DeCopel, and this is The Uplift, the show that lifts you up for at least the next 30 minutes, you and me as well. We're going to begin today with a man who started his own Christmas tradition in the town of Boston, and it may catch you by surprise. Here's Caitlin O'Kane with more.
Imagine you're strolling through Boston. It's Christmas time. You're soaking in the holiday decor, and suddenly, someone hits you with a pillow.
Pillow fight!
He may look like a familiar elf, but it's actually Brendan Sullivan, a single dad from Massachusetts who came up with a unique way to spread holiday cheer.
My brother and I wanted to make a Christmas video. We were in Target and we were like, we should go get a Buddy the Elf costume at the house because for some reason I had it sitting around. And we did the whole video in the store where I stood on the belt and I shouted, I'm singing, I'm in a store and I'm singing.
I'm singing, I'm in a store and I'm singing.
And so we said, let's take this further. Like, let's bring it like to Boston where all these people are. We were like, well, what if you threw a pillow at somebody and pillow fought them? We thought that was a brilliant idea and it turns out it really was.
Each year, Brendan chooses a day in December to visit some Boston landmarks and get into some mischief.
I think it stands out mainly because it's a grown man wearing bright yellow tights, but also there's a huge surprise factor where you're walking past this guy who's wearing the yellow tights and you're saying like, oh my God, what a weirdo. But then he throws you a pillow and yells, pillow fight?
Pillow fight.
Pillow fight?
Pillow fight. Let's go.
Most people are understandably shocked when they are hit with a pillow, but then they let loose.
Oh. You gotta help me out.
Brendan is also a firefighter in the Air National Guard. Another one of his holiday traditions is collecting donated toys and marching them to a children's hospital.
God forbid one of my boys ever ended up in the hospital. I'd want someone out there doing what they could with what they had. And I guess what I'm doing is what I can with what I have.
He uses his viral elf videos to spread the word and collect donated toys.
Because they kind of see the character online, they can say, oh wow, he has a fundraiser. You know, he looks, I'm not going to say normal, but he has a fundraiser. I see what he's doing and I can get behind that. I can support it.
Heroes come in many forms. Dads, firefighters, and sometimes pillow-fighting elves who just want to spread some lighthearted holiday fun.
Okay, watch out. Who's swinging that pillow? That's a great gift, a gift of a good time there in Boston. Moving on to our next story. The holidays can be a difficult time for families who have lost a loved one in the line of service. One organization, though, is bringing a little bit of magic to kids who've lost a parent in particular. Here's David Begnaud.
At one of the happiest places on earth, a hero's welcome for children who've lost their heroes. They call it the Walk of Gratitude. Families all sharing a connection. They lost a parent or spouse who died while serving our country. It's part of the Gary Sinise Foundation's Snowball Express.
All right, here we go.
Since 2006, the event, all of it free, has brought families joy during this holiday season.
Look at all the fun stuff.
The Allback family came for the first time. They lost Sergeant Jacob Allback 3 years ago.
Coming here, everybody's lost someone, and so it's easier to talk about it to them because they know what you're going through.
This was the largest Snowball Express ever, nearly 1,900 people in all. Treated like VIPs every step of the way. On chartered airplanes with unusual onboard entertainment. And as treasured guests at Disney World in Orlando.
It just made me kind of feel like I haven't been forgotten.
There were the somber moments too. That happens when they remember their heroes and ours too.
No one better than David Begnaud on a story like that. The Gary Sinise Foundation. Really well done there. All right, coming up, meet the firefighters who help brighten the day of kids in hospice care with a very simple gift. Plus our heartwarming videos, the ones you just gotta see. I know you'll be sticking around for those. Welcome back to the Uplift, and welcome back to the moment you've been waiting for. Time for those heartwarming videos, the ones you just need to see. And we're going to start with a once-in-a-lifetime moment for an 8-year-old boy in the great state of Massachusetts. And you know who else was recently in the great state of Massachusetts? William, Prince of Wales, and Catherine, Princess of Wales. Also there, little Henry in a Royal Guards costume, waiting for them outside while they visited Greentown Labs in Somerville. And the Royal Security Detail let that Royal Guard member there, in costume anyway, step up and meet the royals themselves. Here's what little Henry had to say about his encounter with the real-life royals.
First of all, it was crazy meeting the prince and princess. And second of all, they told me that I had really, really nice flowers, and they said, "Oh my gosh, thank you very much," when I gave it to them, and I think that's it.
Poised as a guard is little Henry, also poised as a public speaker. Nicely done on both counts. All right, to our next story, a 6-month-old puppy in New York City recently escaped from his collar and ran 30 blocks, then jumped in the Hudson River. Bear, the service dog, swam all the way to New Jersey, not a short swim, by the way, where he was found about 2 days later. Firefighters in Edgewater, New Jersey, rescued Bear and used his microchip to find his family back on the New York City side of said river. They only had Bear for a few days when he slipped his collar and escaped. They were very happy to have him safely back in the correct state, the state of New York, to finish his life of service. It's a good story. Happy ending there. To our next story, on a snowy day in Minnesota, kids in hospice care got a welcome surprise from local firefighters. Here's CBS Minnesota's Marielle Mose.
When we saw Brandon and Royce walk up with the box of sleds, we're going, what do they have up their sleeve today?
In the middle of Tuesday's snowstorm, Brooklyn Center firefighters came by with a special delivery. Nice. Sleds for kids like Milo to enjoy through the halls of Crescent Cove. Or for kids like Lauren to enjoy outside.
How often have any of our children at Crescent Cove been able to be in a sled? They don't get to do those everyday things.
Katie Lindenfelser, the founder of Crescent Cove, was touched by the generous gift. While the sleds will mostly be used for fun, the firefighters wanted them in each kid's room for life-saving reasons.
We would be able to move the kids to the sleds. The emergency responders, police, fire, even staff would be able to come around the backside of the building and move them to a safer area.
Since most of these kids are wheelchair bound, the sleds would help them escape faster during snowy months in case of emergency.
Something complicated can be solved with something very simple like a sled.
The Brooklyn Center Walmart donated all the sleds. So until the sleds are needed for safety,
it's a big smile.
They'll just be used for smiles.
Significant to see Milo smile in particular because his brother just died a couple of months ago here at Crescent Cove.
And grief can slide to the wayside for a little while.
Can you blow kisses?
Everything happens in such a beautiful way here.
Firefighters helping some little kids there fight the blues. Lovely story. And we got more coming up. A man who overcame the odds to compete in one of the most iconic races in the whole wide world. Plus, a group of kids on a mission to make sure that everyone feels included. What they create, we'll tell you. Stick around until after the break. A group of kids in Minnesota have teamed up to make sure that every child feels included during playtime. Here's CBS Minnesota's Susan Elizabeth Littlefield.
At Glen Lake Elementary, the mission is spelled out. They want an accessible playground, and they want it bad.
The merry-go-round and the swings.
The students and staff are going to great lengths to make the $300,000 dream come true.
We'll go on the right side of the street first.
They are door knocking and cold calling, and it's a shared mission.
You do not use a wheelchair.
Nope.
Why is it so important for you to have this playground here?
It's important for me to have this playground here so people in wheelchairs can have fun too.
Because the current setup leaves some out.
I get this feeling of setback, or like I'm not being able to do what I'm capable of doing. So I'm really excited about this new equipment.
Felix and Hyatt are too.
I'm excited to spin on the merry-go-round.
Oh, that'll be fun.
I'm excited to swing on this swing.
Something as simple as joining your friends on the swing and having a shared experience at the same time, it's going to be the great equalizer. We're very excited about it.
8 kids at the school use wheelchairs.
Thank you so much.
But the whole school is making sure they can all use the playground.
What does it mean to you seeing these other kids who are working so hard?
I appreciate these people very much because they went out of their way just to help people that feel different every day.
They just met their first goal, $35,000 for a merry-go-round. A step closer to a playground for everybody and every soul.
I feel very loved.
A playground where everyone can play, a very good thing indeed. Hope they reach their goal. Moving on to our next story. 4 rescued lion cubs from Ukraine went on a very long journey through several different countries only to get to their new home. It was worth it. Adam Duxter has more on the new pride of Minnesota.
On the left, we have Taras. In the middle, we have Lacia. And then we have Stefania here on the right, and big girl Prada is trying to become a member of the family.
A process Tammy Thies says
She's being very tolerant and gentle.
she can't believe is finally happening.
They're a symbol of what can be done when we all work together.
3 of these 4 are siblings. Traitors in Ukraine surrendered them to be orphans in September.
There were daily drone attacks in Odessa, and then there were bombing attacks very close to them while they were in Kyiv.
Which is when the International Fund of Animal Welfare got involved.
For this rescue, there were so many different pieces and different players that all had to be in place and perfectly aligned to have a success.
Including getting the lions on a plane before temperatures got too cold, meaning a 3-month process really had to happen in 2.
And we did have moments, more than I would like to admit, where we thought this was never going to work.
We didn't know until we stepped foot on that plane that we were actually going to be able to bring them to the U.S. And so I think once we had them loaded and in the plane, we were able finally to breathe like they're going to be finally coming home.
But Tuesday, home at last.
Right now, each of these cubs is just a few months old. They only weigh about 30 or 40 pounds or so, but they will grow to be 450 pounds each and spend the next 20 years of their lives living here on the sanctuary.
And to know that they will never have to move again and they'll get to live their lives out here at the sanctuary is the best feeling ever.
They're very cute for now. I know they'll be dangerous at some point, but for now, we're very cute. That's a sweet story. Our next story is a powerful one about a man who experienced a horrific accident, an accident that changed his life in just a split second. But he didn't let that accident stop him from following his dreams. Here's Lee Cohen with his story.
In 2018, Rome Lakin was on his way to work from his Brooklyn home when the unthinkable happened. He suddenly had a seizure and fell into the subway tracks, right as a train was pulling in. He lost both of his legs from the accident and suffered a traumatic brain injury. The next year was spent healing and recovering at a rehab center in New York. And in that process, he discovered a life-changing passion, hand cycling.
First of all, I didn't know what it was. And then second of all, when I saw it, I'm like, oh, this is great. You don't even need legs to use this thing. And look at me. I don't have any. This is perfect. So I got on it, I rode, I fell in love with it right away.
Within months, he was competing in a 40-mile bike tour across New York's 5 boroughs. But he soon had his sights set on another iconic New York race, the marathon.
I know it was going to be very emotional, and it was, because I was pretty much crying the whole way.
4 years after his accident, he found himself thriving as a hand cyclist and getting ready for his second New York City marathon. His first race was all about the experience and accomplishment, and he finished it in about 2 hours and 12 minutes. But this year was all about the competition.
My hands are going to be on the wheel, my eyes are going to be focused, and I think my time is going to speak for itself. Now I'm of the mentality of bring it on. I think it's going to be overwhelming and intense, but focus and concentration is going to win the day.
Once again, he was cycling from Staten Island to Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx, then down to Manhattan, where he finished in Central Park. He clocked in at about 1 hour and 48 minutes, more than 20 minutes faster than his first race. And this marathon was just the beginning for Lakin.
Relentless forward positive momentum. The most important thing is, and there will be ups and downs, but the trend is what's important. Focus on the good.
Always up for a challenge, Lakin hopes to one day run the marathon. Because he knows, even through life's difficulties, there's always a finish line on the horizon.
It sure is. That's a great piece of journalism right there, and a great individual doing his best. All right, coming up next, meet an artist who proves it is never too late, truly never too late to start a new chapter. See his iconic work, you probably already know it, and learn about his revival after the break. We introduce you now to an 86-year-old artist who received some long overdue reaction for his work. Here's Chris Livesay with the story.
He's the Michelangelo of movie posters. But chances are you don't know his name. Over the course of 50 years, Renato Cazzaro has drawn the first impressions of some of our favorite films.
It's like a sculpture.
Posters he likens to bait on a hook.
Esatto, questo, anzi.
The less you give away, the better. Like in Dances with Wolves. This mark says it all.
Helping turn movies into milestones and mere mortals into stars.
Bellissimo. Oh, you can't do this with Photoshop.
No.
Born 86 years ago here in Treviso, Italy, Cazzaro got his start as a teenager drawing posters for local theaters in exchange for tickets. His big break came when iconic Italian filmmaker Dino De Laurentiis was making his epic blockbuster, The Bible.
It was a colossal film. My posters were put on billboards on Sunset Boulevard. After that, my phone never stopped ringing.
James Bond, The Last Emperor, the never-ending story, a never-ending list of commissions, thanks to an uncanny gift for building a film up by stripping it down.
The movie has, 100 minutes where it can tell this story. All you have is one frame. How do you choose that one scene? How do you choose that one picture that's going to become the poster?
It takes a lot of scribbles. The table gets covered in them, and then you throw them away. Slowly you narrow it down, you subtract, you don't add. The poster of Nikita shows a woman with her back turned behind a bathroom door. It makes you wonder what just happened. The viewer says, I have to go and see what this film is all about.
And see them they did. More than 2,000 posters bear his signature. Until one day, the phone stopped ringing. Software like Photoshop, he says, had put him out of a job.
With all the action films of today, it's very easy to generate a spectacular image, but with no soul.
Then, after 17 years, his phone finally rang again. It was none other than Quentin Tarantino. He was shooting Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Leonardo DiCaprio plays a fading movie star in 1969. Brad Pitt plays his stunt double.
Kill me quick, Ringo, said the gringo.
Tarantino needed a vintage poster, so he turned to a vintage artist.
This is the poster you designed for the film, inside the film. I get it, okay.
Yes. Tarantino sent him this thank you.
Okay, so it says, to Renato Casado, thanks so much for your art gracing my picture. You've always been my favorite. So this is Tarantino.
Yes.
The spotlight, long overdue, was finally cast on Casaro. A Casaro retrospective is now touring Italy, and even streaming services are buying new works.
Oh, this is for Netflix?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
New technology offering a job instead of putting him out of it.
You have all of Hollywood here.
Yes.
Hollywood giveth, and Hollywood taketh away, he says.
As a poster artist, we weren't considered part of the production, so our names were never in the credits.
Because I see your work and I realize I've been a fan my whole life without even realizing it.
Everyone tells me that, he says, but now, thanks to an unlikely third act, his countless fans can finally know his name.
A lot of fans there didn't even know they were fans, didn't know the artist behind that great body of work, but now they do, and they can show their appreciation. I hope you appreciated this show, because that is it. It's over. I hope it brightened your day, lifted you up. I'm confident it did. If it didn't for some reason, reruns are free. Meanwhile, I'm going to go look for some good news.
This episode of The Uplift is presented by the Subaru Share the Love event.